Alan Haber again. It seems that one of the problems is that there is so much lie. Lee Harvey Oswald killed John F. Kennedy, not true. 9/11 was done by terrorists somewhere else, not true. How do we deal with the psychological operation that the media undertakes to basically confuse people about what the hell is really going on in the world? That's the elephant in the room.
Who wants to speak to that?
Well, a conspiracy. Okay, sure.
Well, let's take one more question, and if anybody dares to speak to either one of them.
Well, we'll deal with both questions.
We have a mic on that side of the room. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Sierra Taylor, and I just joined on with Code Pink and hosting a tribunal on the Iraq War in December, this coming December. Thank you. And so I was really intrigued by the piece on watching the framing of our stories and what is being left out. In our almost 25 years in being in Iraq, I feel like we've heard a few of the same stories over and over, but what stories are we not hearing? What should we be looking out for when we're talking about the issue of the illegal war in Iraq?
We just have time for a quick answer to that from our panelists.
I think that a huge thing, and there's sort of a blurring between activism and journalism in a lot of ways. If activists can get pictures, putting a human face on Iraq, Black Lives Matter, when an African American gets killed, there's been a lot of pushback on it. They immediately report the name of the person who was killed. We do not hear names, we do not hear pictures, we do not hear stories, we do not hear flesh and blood stories of the victims of U.S. military violence abroad generally. And I think that that's a huge thing that can be facilitated by peace movements, and that independent and hopefully even corporate media, to the extent that they're open or have to bend to that, I think that's a substantial opening.
Very, very, very fast.
Yeah, I mean, this also, this question is very much related to what I was talking about in terms of just describing the national security state in terms of the way in which they're winners and losers in every policy decision they make. There were winners in the decision to go to war in Iraq. Who were the winners? Well, we know the neocons, that small group of policymakers in the Bush administration were winners, but behind them were much bigger fish. It was the Air Force who were the big winners. Why? Because they got to carry out their regime change by air power, by shock and awe. And that was the strategy that they sold to Secretary of Defense in the 1990s. It was huge money, huge stakes that were up in the air over how are we going to try to carry out regime change in Iraq. Well, they were the big winners, and that's part of the story that I think needs to be told.
Do you have something very, 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 very fast?
Yeah, to the gentleman's question about lies in the media. I think, first of all, I don't agree with everything that you said. But that said, I do think that we have one idea in common, and that is that we must rely on facts in order to make informed decisions. There is just no escaping that. And we also have to be open our own minds to the ability to seeing information that contradicts our assumptions. Actually, that's very healthy to do, I believe. And usually, if we open our own minds to seeing information in that way, we'll get a deeper picture of what's actually happening and how it works.
Well said.
We can talk more.
Well said.